Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 161 of Total Retail Talks. In today's episode, Executive Editor Joe Keenan sits down with Scott Emmons, Head of Innovation Labs at Neiman Marcus. Listen in as they discuss the role of technology in powering Neiman Marcus's loyalty program, all recorded live at this year's CRMC in Chicago. And now, on to the show.
Hi, I'm Joe Keenan of Total Retail. I'm here at CRMC in Chicago. I am joined by Scott Emmons, who is the Head of Innovation at Neiman Marcus. And Scott's going to be presenting here at the show here in a little bit. We're going to have a couple questions for him. So thanks for joining me, Scott.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about your session around the essentials for CXX, customer experience excellence. I'm interested in, you mentioned in your title, innovation, kind of the role of technology in customer experience, and then also kind of how that factors into eventually customer loyalty as well.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to, how the world's changed when you have a guy like me, at a conference like this, which is this conference really focused on marketing and data and knowing everything you can know about your customer. And here I am, the IT guy, right? Why am I here? I feel like an odd duck, but I have to tell you that, I've been attending more and more conferences like this because what I do, which is try to introduce new technology and new ways to leverage technology to serve our customers. It really relies on that data and those insights, right, to be successful. Either we are a consumer of those insights and data, or we're producing new data, that the marketing team can go out and use to resonate with our customers even better.
And that's occurring for Neiman Marcus, both online and in store.
Absolutely.
Correct?
I mean, it's essential. We as most retailers have, went down this path of trying to make a Neiman Marcus experience whether you're digital only, you're a store only, or you do both. When you shop with us, I think originally those businesses, and they're when they were built, were purposely siloed from one another. They were separate businesses, that happened to share a name. And over the last 10 years, that's that doesn't fly anymore. Customers, when they shop Neiman Marcus, want a Neiman Marcus experience.
The 7 life cycle points of the the customer experience. I need to name them all, but I'm interested, kind of your take on how you're engaging customers and using some, maybe I'm an example of how you're using technology to engage at some of these different life cycle points in the customer relationship.
Yeah, I think if you could take the research that I'm here presenting with Arnon Roman, who has some research on voice of the customer, and you could sum up a lot of what he's saying is customers are not cookie cutter, right? They are individuals with individual needs. And they want you to be speaking to them directly and personally, and not as some sort of rubber stamp version of them. That your segmentation data says this is what resonates with this customer. That's not good enough anymore. So when I'm looking at technology, first and foremost, right, it needs to solve a real problem for that customer. When it requires data about the customer, or will collect data about the customer, I need to be sure I'm upfront about it, that I give them the option to opt in, and just as importantly, the option to opt out if they change their mind or feel differently about it later. I have to be a good steward, of that data and keep it safe and use it, the way I said I was going to use it. I think that's incredibly important, as we handle our customers, precious, really, data and information. We need to be able to respond quickly when a customer's not happy. You can't let that fester. We need to identify they're not happy, and we need to, take action to move them to a happy place. When there's a problem. These are all the sorts of things that we'll be talking about here at the show.
Yeah, that's a good segue. I wanted to ask you about kind of that voice of customer research that you're going to talk about. what are some of the things that you've learned from that, getting that customer feedback that you're, that you're then going to try to take action upon?
Yeah, I think that as we've introduced more kind of digital touch points into the shopping experience, we have a better opportunity to actually capture the fact that the customer is happy or not happy, right? Where before, if a sales associate wasn't just standing in front of the customer and observing, oh, this is not a happy customer, then their problem could go unanswered. First, we have the better opportunity and more opportunities to identify the problem, and just as importantly, you have to put systems and procedures in place to take care of the problem, right? Identifying it is only half the battle, right?
Yeah. So I'm interested. You mentioned, when you started that you were, kind of an odd duck at this conference. It's more of a marketing and data show. But I'm operationally at Neiman Marcus. You're in a technology position. How do you kind of collaborate with your marketing team and your your CRM teams and your loyalty teams to kind of produce, do they come to you with ideas and say, hey, here's what, things that we think can work, or you going to them? Can you talk a little bit about how that works at Neiman Marcus?
Probably my favorite question so far, because, if you ask me what the best achievement of the lab has been or what I'm most proud of, it's that it's opened up those lines of communications between the technology team and the marketing teams and the store operations teams and the supply chain teams and so forth and so on, all these different areas of the business that are required to be a retailer. And I've said this many times, what it felt like in IT was we just sat around waiting to be ambushed, by requests from the business that we had no idea were coming our way and had not made any, so thus not been able to plan for it, and basically said, we can't do that. So that doesn't make you very popular, with your business partners, by the way. So now, the lab, I think started those conversations early on, and I think it's really blossomed into technology now, being, having a full seat at the table and being with teams like marketing at the ideation phases and collaborating with those teams on what's possible, as opposed to just being order takers, for solutions once, the solution had been designed.
Yeah, and you could almost take more, whereas before maybe it was a little bit of a reaction, like you're the problem already is hit and, you guys need to fix it. Now you can kind of be a little bit more proactive and think, this technology might solve a customer's problem, so you can take a little more
if you think about, you're doing your day in, day out job inside your four walls, you're not necessarily aware of what all the new developments outside, our business that have happened that might be relevant and pertain, directly to customer problems we're trying to solve. So we also, feel, treat the lab like a center of excellence and a place where you can come to kind of get up to speed with, what's happening with technology outside of our four walls.
And then my final question, Scott, is, kind of what's next? What are you working on now, and kind of what's next? In terms of some of the different technologies and innovations that you're kind of working at Neiman Marcus.
Yeah, we're hard at work at looking at digital technologies that can give our digital-only customers a better experience and deliver kind of a Neiman Marcus experience when you're shopping online, and to try to differentiate shopping the Neiman Marcus website from any other website where you go to buy stuff. And so how do we deliver that, world-famous Neiman Marcus white glove service when you're shopping online only? And so we've instituted, some kind of digital stylists and other programs that we're having very great success with. I think there's a lot of opportunity to expand there. And then, we're going to open a new store in Manhattan next March, which is a pretty big deal. And so, I've been spending a lot of time, working, with my colleagues on, what are we going to do, in my case, from the technology standpoint, to make us stand out, and probably one of the hardest places to be a retailer in the world because you have so much great competition there. Yeah.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Scott Emmons of Neiman Marcus for joining me here at CRMC.
I appreciate you having me again. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this episode, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher, but be sure to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.